you know what? It's starting to become almost like a few years ago. It seems as though, for years it always was Tom Brady in New England. Now it's Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City. Yes, the Chiefs won the Super Bowl in overtime in the seventh longest game in NFL history. The thing is, you kind of knew when Mahomes took the field that maybe it was going to come down to it. And it was almost like couple of years ago, that game against the Bills. But it's for another year we get to see Mahomes' smiling face. Hey, Patrick Mahomes, you just won the Super Bowl. What are you going to do? Hey, I'm going to Disney World. Oh, big deal. And they feature your wife there. Big deal. Of course, your father was arrested for DWI the week before. That's a deal. But of course, hey, it's kind of become an old hat now. Do we get to see your coach, Andy Reid, have a few more icicles grow on his mustache? Do we get to see Travis Kelce again bump into Coach Reid, confront him? Because, hey, I want to get on the screen. I want Taylor Swift and her friends to get on the screen. It almost seems as though Taylor Swift is as big an attraction there at Las Vegas as it was with Kelce. As you saw, Swift had some of her buddies. Blake didn't really look too lively the way she was dressed. And Mila, you gotta wonder what she's got in her kunis. Of course, you also gotta see a lot of the other celebrities that made it there. Heck, you saw Gwen Stefani, Blake Shelton, and others in attendance there. You gotta wonder how much they paid. Probably about $10,000 or more. The average ticket for the Super Bowl was $6,000. Now, we can afford that, can't we? Pardon me. Heck, I don't think so. That's the amount of a pretty good payment on a single wide down payment. And of course, we don't want single wides. But of course, we want to see a good Super Bowl. And of course, people wanted to tune in to see Usher at the halftime. And of course, Usher delivered songs that I'm like, don't want to hear. But hey, you saw ones like Will I Am, Alicia Keys, and others. Alicia Keys, she probably made a few people mad. They looked at her outfit and they saw red. But I digress. One highlight to me was Reba McEntire doing a pretty good job with the national anthem. Of course, you saw the one who did the America the Beautiful, and of course, you know what? You gotta wonder, how many tattoos does he need, especially on his face? But oh well, I digress. And of course, you got to see a heck of a game, and for a while I thought San Francisco was gonna pull it out. But I guess Brock wasn't purty enough to pull it out. Heck, some people still say he's ugly as hell, but he's a tremendous story. Well, he's a true underdog. The last pick of the 2022 NFL Draft, and he almost led the 49ers to winning the Super Bowl. But now, it just seems as though every year, year in, year out, we get to see Mahomes' smiling face. We get to see Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. And we got to see commercials. Some great, some not so great. Of course, my favorite had to be the Clydesdales returning to pulling into a blizzard-laden town with the Wait by the band playing. Of course, others that were great were the State Farm ad with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Cut! You gotta see Neighbor. Neighbor. Well, hey, leave him alone. He's doing fine. But of course, I like the one with Christopher Walken. Everybody trying to talk like him. Well, you know what this commercial needs? is more cowbell. And I gotta talk, let you know what I gotta say. Well, everybody can do a good Christopher Walken if they wanted to. Of course, I like to think of him in Biloxi Blues. So the Misfits are in charge, huh? Fine. Well, it was a pretty good Super Bowl. And hey, it was, I guess, for a one-off, the most watched show in TV history, which is pretty good. But hey, next year, hopefully there's somebody other than Kansas City, maybe even Buffalo. Of course, we got a lot of, economic gymnastics to do with the salary cap. Brandon Beane's got his work cut out for him. And you wonder, is Andy Reid going to retire? I think he's got enough now. Andy Reid, you've done a good job, but you know what? Time for you to do what Bill Belichick did. It's time to go. Well, you're still good. But I digress. It was a good Super Bowl. We'll see what happens. But now we're going to start going through withdrawal. Yeah, withdrawal sickness for football fans is not pretty. You got the shakes. You got DT setting in. You got to have paraldehyde, 5 cc's. You got to have something to calm your nerves. But I digress. Long off season. And of course, for ones that care, the UFL kicks off. The merger of the XFL and the USFL. That is co-headed by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. We'll see what happens. Now I'm going to go from the Super Bowl to talking about the Orange. You know what? They're like a guy who drank too much on Super Bowl Sunday. They're stumbling down the stretch. Heck, they just barely got past Louisville. And against Clemson, they fell behind a little too much. Came back to tie. But heck, kind of really hurts when Joe Girard gets his 2,000th point in an enemy uniform. Clemson with a big win. And of course tonight on Mardi Gras, heck, Syracuse and North Carolina collide in the Dome. And you know how good the Tar Heels have been. You saw how much they destroyed Syracuse by a few weeks ago. Well, hopefully the Cuse can give the Tar Heels some fight in their own arena. Heck, this is the JMA Wireless Dome. Let's play with some pride. And Saturday, they play Georgia Tech down in Atlanta. But right now, Syracuse is definitely stumbling towards the end of the season. And heck, you got, what if they keep stumbling, the NIT voters might not be impressed. Wouldn't that be a thing? NIT says, hey, we don't want Syracuse. Of course, Benny Williams was dismissed from the team. I don't know what the straw was that broke the camel's back with him, but losing him, plus, hey, Chance Westry, who transferred, he's been out all year, and he'll be out pretty much the rest of the season. McLeod being out with a foot injury. It's not looking good going down the stretch right now for Adrian Autry. They got to put it together. They can't keep stumbling, and make Chris Berman say he could go all the. Wait a minute. Not all the way. He could go all the. Let's see what happens if they try to win. And they got to win. They've got to start winning to impress the NCAA and impress the NIT. We'll see what Red Autry can do. Now I'll go from talking about them to talking about locally. This is the final week of the regular season for high school basketball around here. And heck, they saved the best for last around here. Yep, Waterloo and Minders will be playing on successive nights. They play on Mardi Gras tonight and for the boys, and Valentine's Day for the girls. How appropriate. Valentine's Day. Of course, this year it also happens to be Ash Wednesday. And also, it happens to be my sister's 57th birthday. You think she's going to need some Heinz sauce? We'll talk about that. But of course, last chance to impress the Section 5 of voters, Section 5 pollsters, to see how we're seated. Right now, I mean, there's a chance Miners and Waterloo could meet in the Section 5 tournament. That would be pretty interesting. But first, they got to get past their first round opponents. And I mean, heck, Waterloo, the boys, they're giving it their best, but I mean, they're probably going to be in one of the first games coming up. And I mean, the Miners, boys and girls, they're probably going to be seated pretty high. But they got that outpost city down in Steuben County they got to worry about. Hell, is it the maple syrup? Is it the chili? Hell, Hornell could be doing pretty good, and they are doing pretty good. They could be the one that stands in the way of Miners winning Section 5 titles. We'll see. It's going to be an interesting final week for Section 5 basketball. We'll see what happens as we go into midwinter recess for the kids. Yay! Of course, I still got to work. But I digress. And I mean, I'll end my show by saying this. Yes, it was 45 years ago that the Ayatollah Khomeini took over power from the Shah of Iran. And you know what? Big deal. Iran is still Iran. You know what? We could care less. But you know what? They got a market. Oh well. I'm Ken Haas, and that's my story this week.